What's going on, people? Mr. Andy Lock here, back with this week's chapter of Bleach 589, the Shooting Star Project, the Old and New Trust. I do want to point out that I call it too because the first time we got that chapter was when Ichigo and his friends were invading the Soul Society. Now, to get into this first thing that I want to point out, Mayuri and Kisuke made a duplicate of the flower crane cannon. Now, Mayuri started it and Kisuke finished it, but it was pointed out that they could not make an exact replica like the Shiba clans because they don't possess the technology nor the energy, and that was so crazy to me. And another thing about that cannon was that it can only be fired once. Kisuke is not even sure that it works. That's Urahara for you. Akon interrupts this by saying, the person that you mentioned has arrived from completing their task. Wonder who that could be. Within this time, Chad asks Ichigo about Orihime's outfit. And this guy's like, it's a bit too revealing. Really, bro? Really? As Orihime is beginning to freak out because apparently she only did it so Ichigo could, look gawk and actually be kind of attracted to her. Really? Well, in the next panel, we see this hand come up through Orihime's boobs. And you're like, whoa. You know whose hand it is, though? It is Yoriichi Shihoen, who turns and slaps Ichigo for his insensitivity to Orihime's feelings. And yes, that was the epic panel of the week. I wish she would have slapped me with that hand. Why am I not surprised that Urahara made those outfits for them to wear, particularly Orihime's, and actually explained to her that, if you try to cover up like this, your boobs are going to come out of the side, so she was screwed either way. But back to this canon thing. Now, what Yoriichi did was investigate the human world with Hiyori and the other visors to figure out what was the distortion between the Earth and the Soul Society, and come to find out it was a fake distortion. A strong part of me believes that possibly Askin had something to do with that. I don't know why. It's just like I have this instinct that Askin had something to do with that. And another thing that was ill and pointed out was that somebody possibly created a cannon. So basically, it's a strong possibility that the cannon was created and located in that building where Juha Uryu and Hashwalt got shot up to the Soul Palace. Now the thing about that is, I said from the beginning that there's no other way to get to the Soul Palace without the aid of Kukaku. And from the looks of things, somebody had to build a flower crane cannon to go up to that Soul Palace. Now, another thing that was crazy, Yoriichi brought back these canisters full of that displaced energy, which they're going to use to power the cannon. Now, I'm going into my notes, and I want to point out that page 12 on Manga Stream, Kisuke asked, shall we begin? Going up to the Soul Palace. I really loved the placement of the title page this week. It was so cleverly placed. Got over to the Bambietta Sweetness and Baldy fight. What I'm really enjoying about this fight from this panel is that Sweetness seems to have become quite a bit of a strategist. I don't know if it's his ability, but he's become a strategist, and he's also starting to use keto, which I thought was cool, to point out that he figured out how Bambietta's attack works. He then uses a hado, which is called Denji no Tenyu, revolving dance of the earth. He used that to flank her explosion attacks so that Ikako could possibly land an attack on her. And he does. What I really love is that there is a panel where you can see Hozeki Maru clearly going through Bambietta's head. I really, really love that. Now, though he went straight through her head, she tried to grab his face, and Yumi Chika, better known as Sweetness, comes up and cuts her arm off. Whew. Let's be real, people. We are the readers. In your mind and in my mind, as I read it, I'm like, so how is this going to work on a zombie? Because Swell also pointed that out. Now, the thing that pissed me off about this fight is that Baldy and Sweetness, and you got to remember the time frame of this. This is literally the next day after getting their ass kicked by Masty Masculine. Again, gets their ass kicked by Giswell and Bambietta. Or should I say Giswell, because she's actually controlling her. So Giswell, in a nearly bragging fashion, answers our question that we've been wondering. What happens to Bambietta? Giswell finished her off and turned her into a zombie. I guess that's why she was screaming. She knew what was going to happen. She knew what was going to happen after her demise. And I figured that, she didn't want her body defiled. She didn't want to be like a walking zombie. Now, Giswell begins to speak of her moistness. And again, Yumichika pointed out she was a dude, so he corrects her saying, aren't you talking about your erection? I thought that was pretty funny. Now, Giswell bites off the tip of her finger. The blood is dripping. We all know what that blood does. And begins to explain her ability. Now, right before Yumi Chika and Ikaku become a part of the cast of The Walking Dead, what happens? They get bailed out by the Sunflower Samurai, Mayuri. And once he takes an interest in you, you're going to become a specimen in his laboratory. And that was the chapter. My thoughts on this chapter. I have to say, this is the chapter that a lot of us have been waiting for. It's not a backstory or an explanation to what Juha is doing, but the chapter is filled with so much information. Chapter, hands down. In this chapter, we got a little bit of everything. We got comedy. We got a reveal, which was what Yorichi was doing the whole time when we were just like, where the hell is Yorichi at? We also got great action in this chapter and a great explanation to what happened to Bambietta. I thought that was so cool, hands down. Also, the revelation, going back to the beginning, that Juha is in possession of a flower crane cannon. That was sick, man. That's just sick, hands down. This should satisfy everybody's appetite. All of the people who've been complaining about all the chapters so short, all the chapters so short. This happened, and that happened. This was a very significant chapter to move forward in the story. So, as a lot of these reviewers would say, we got plot progression this week, and it's just amazing. To be honest with you, this is one of these chapters for me that has me at a loss for words. Another thing to point out, I hope it comes out soon whether Giswell is a boy or a girl, because for a man to talk about he got so moist, like, it gets no creepier than that. Alright, first of all, you have the zombie ability, and then on top of that, you're posing as a guy. Well, you're posing as a girl, but you're a guy. That makes me wonder, did this guy sleep with Bambietta? The corpse of Bambietta? I don't know, man. But again, great chapter of Bleach. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts. Peace.